Welcome to the discussion again. As we are discussing the fact that what should be our approach to the reading of the Bhagavad Gita. Already, most of the things we have discussed, and one or two are still there. Already, we have discussed the temporal aspect. As I said, two aspects are there in every scripture. One is temporal, and the other is eternal. So far as this temporal aspect is concerned, even in the Bhagavad Gita, this temporal aspect also is in a way universal and eternal. And one of those aspects is yajna. Already we have discussed about that. What is yajna? It is a sacrifice. As I said, it's a way of interaction. It's a way of relationship between man and the gods. So that is what yajna is, and how yajna has been described in the Bhagavad Gita. To some extent, some aspects of that particular issue we have discussed. And the other, sometimes the critics of the Bhagavad Gita, they are quite vociferous against the Gita is this Chaturvanyam, the creation of four castes, the caste system. And some of the critics they say that the Bhagavad Gita advocates casteism. It, creates a discrimination among the castes. Some of them are quite vociferous against this. But that is not again the case. It might be a temporal aspect. Chaturvanyam are the four caste systems: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. These four caste systems were prevalent at the time. Yes. And many people say that it is a discrimination. Brahmana, those who are concerned with these worshippings, devotion, adoration, and all these things, they are considered or they were considered to be the highest race. And then come the Kshatriyas, who give the protection to the kingdom, to the particular locality. Then Vaishya, those who make the kingdom or make the locality or make the country prosperous by business, by agriculture, or by anything. And the last one, Shudras, they are considered to be of the lowest categories, and they are normally looked down upon. So something like that is been told against the Bhagavad Gita, that Bhagavad Gita discriminates. It creates division among the people. But again, that is not the case. Because Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, Chaturvanyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasah. What a beautiful line. Chaturvanyam maya srishtam. These four varnas, these four castes I have created. I have created. And why I have created? I have created because of the division of labor. According to the division of labor, the caste system is created. So, what is division of labor? Suppose in a country, all the works are divided into four groups or four categories, let us say. First one, this because at the time man was God fearing, so gods worshipping them, creating these God places clean or making the God places clean, all these things. It was considered a category of work. The second is protection, security to the country, to the kingdom. Third one, making the country prosperous and rich. And fourth one, service, Sheva, service. So, what is the harm in it? In a house also, in a society also, in an organization also, there are different jobs. And each category of job is normally assigned to a particular group of people. Suppose HR, let us say in an organization, HR it is a separate group, finance it is a separate group, or for that matter, your let us say some computer related jobs, a separate group of people are there. The security of the organization, there is a separate group of people. So all these people are there in an organization, in a society, in a family also. In a family we do that. Suppose 3-4 members are in the family. And of course, in a family works are not assigned. But whoever thinks fit that this work must be done, if he does it, what is the harm in it? So, in order to have a discipline in a society, all these categories of works are assigned to a separate sect or different sects of people. And in that way, four varnas, four castes were created. But this discrimination is not Gita's teachings. This discrimination was a further dilution by the man himself. It is we are responsible for that. But Gita never advocated casteism. Gita never advocated. That's what Sri Krishna says, Chaturvanya maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasa. According to the gunas, according to the job, according to the type of work, I have created four castes. And the major categories of work are these four. So accordingly, name was given. Brahmanas, they were concerned with this God and related things. Kshatriyas were concerned with the security and protection of the kingdom, of the country. Vaishyas, they have their work cut out to make the country rich and prosperous. And the Sudras, they are to provide service to everybody. And how come Sudras are at the lowest category and Brahmanas are the highest ones? This is a man-made, concept. This is a man-made concept. Because service is a heavenly quality. The persons, all the people who provide service, they must be considered, the highest category. We still consider service is a virtue. So they are the most virtuous people. So who say that they are at the lowest rung of the ladder? No. This is again, a mispresentation of the Bhagavad Gita. Those who want to criticize, they may, they can. They are at liberty to do so. But we must remember that the Bhagavad Gita has never done it, or the Bhagavad Gita has never sent this message. Well, so this is, or this must be the attitude when we approach the Bhagavad Gita. We must not be misguided. The original Bhagavad Gita should be read, and we have to create our own concepts about that, our own opinion about that. Sometimes what happens, the interpreters, they do a lot of dilution. Already we have talked about that. It is for arguments and counter arguments. Some of the interpreters, the way they look at the Bhagavad Gita, they, guide their interpretation accordingly. Suppose Vaishnavites, they see that the Bhagavad Gita is a book for the Vaishnavas because Sri Krishna is the presiding deity of the Vaishnavites. So when Sri Krishna has the major role to play in the Bhagavad Gita, they will say it is a Vaishnavite book. It is, we can say that all the Vaishnavism are here, or all the tenets of the Vaishnavism are here. They can say like that. But Gita has never spoken of any one category of these isms. Yes, Sankhya is there. There is one chapter which is called Sankhya Yoga. But again, it has not accepted all of Kapila's Sankhya philosophy. It has spoken of Sankhya, but it has not accepted the entire Sankhya philosophy. It has spoken of Maya. Brahmayan sarva bhutani jantra rudhani mayaya. It has spoken of Maya, but Mayavad it has rejected. No here, Mayavad has been accepted in the Bhagavad Gita. It has spoken of the yoga, Patanjali's yoga philosophy, yoga darsana. But it has not followed the aphorisms of Patanjali. Patanjali's yoga darsana, if we read, the first aphorism says, Atha yoganusasanam, and second one, yoga citta vritti nirodha. All these things are, as there are rigid principles in Patanjali's yoga, that also Gita has not followed. So how can he say, of course, those who are supporters of the respective isms, they can find support from the Bhagavad Gita, and they can interpret or misinterpret these doctrines, the gospels of the Bhagavad Gita to suit their views. Yes, to suit their views. But not a single ism Gita has supported. The other day I was speaking of the synthesis. The Bhagavad Gita is the greatest synthesis. It has synthesized everything. Everything is there. And again, not a single ism or not a single view you can find Gita supporting it. No, Gita doesn't support it. So that must be without any preconception, without any obsession, we have to approach to the Bhagavad Gita. As we know, Bhagavad Gita is not a work apart. It is not a separate work. It was considered to be the part of the Mahabharata. It is the part of the Mahabharata, the great Mahabharata, and it is only a part. Mahabharata is a great epic, and one of the situations where Arjuna faced a crisis, there Sri Krishna tried to convince him, and then Gita started. So it is a part of the Bhagavad Gita. It is not a work apart, as we see other scriptures. Suppose the Vedas, they are a work apart. The Upanishads, or for that matter, every Upanishad is a work apart. But the Bhagavad Gita is considered to be part of the Mahabharata. It is not a separate work. Of course, later on, we find many things in the Bhagavad Gita and it has been included in the sixth philosophy of the Hindus. This Upanishads, Brahma Sukta and the Bhagavad Gita. These three are part of the Vedanta Darsanas, Vedanta philosophy. That's another matter. But it is not a separate work by itself, as per our belief and customs. So then, we cannot say that the Bhagavad Gita says only this or the Bhagavad Gita says only that. We cannot say like that. We have to have a very Catholic approach, a comprehensive approach, and we must be mentally prepared for that. Whenever we are going to read the Bhagavad Gita, this must be borne in mind. Then only we can get the best out of it. Otherwise, there is every chance of ours being misled. And in many instances are there where this misleading is quite apparent, quite clear. Then the rest are we can discuss in the next episode, in the next forum, this divine teacher, because the God Himself is the teacher here. A little bit, some points here and there regarding that, the divine teacher. Till then, thank you.